Are you excited doing the work that you do? Is the time trade worth it? Is your investment in time like really feeding and firing your soul? Because that's an important thing to evaluate.
You're listening to Thrive by Design, business, marketing, and lifestyle strategies for your jewelry brand to flourish and thrive. Let's get started.
Welcome to the Thrive by Design podcast, episode 149. It is Tracy Matthews here, the Chief Visionary Officer over at Flourish and Thrive Academy, and I am stoked to be here for a lot of reasons today. It's going to be an awesome episode. Today is all about how to know when it's time to lean in or when it's time to throw in the towel and quit your business. Because there is a time for both, right? And a lot of times as small business owners, we aren't sure what to do next and, when enough is enough. Like, do we keep going? Do we keep believing? Or do we just throw in the towel and let the business go and move on? I feel like cueing the song Journey here. Don't stop believing. But I will spare you my karaoke tunes. Maybe later I will sing it. We'll see. Anyway, that's the first reason I'm excited. The second reason I'm excited is because in less than a week, it's my birthday. It's my birthday week officially starting today. My birthday is May 21st, and I am one of those people, I feel like there's kind of two types of people who hate their birthday and people who love their birthday. I'm one of those people who loves my birthday. In fact, I use it as an excuse to celebrate for months on end. Even though I'm getting older, I'm nearing my fifth decade in life. I'm not there yet, but I'm getting close to it. I just get super stoked on my birthday, and it's just fun for me to find a time to celebrate and to also gift you. And this year, to celebrate my birthday, you might have heard me talk about this, but I moved into a new building apartment about 6 months ago. And I sort of documented my journey, not only on the podcast, but I would say more so probably in our Diamond Insiders community and also on our Facebook Live show. And I was sharing the journey about taking this big opportunity to really level up. The investment in moving into this new place was a lot for me. I was terrified and scared along the way. I was like, what are you doing? Did you make a big mistake? Should you just quit now? This is a bad idea. And so much has really just opened up for me. So I'm really excited because this year there's a bowling alley in the basement of my building that's part of the building. It's not like somewhere where people can go, that has a game room and sick acoustics and pool tables and foosball and skee ball, like all these really cool things. Pinball machines. I love it. And I'm having my birthday party there this year, which is going to be super fun. And so I'm just excited to invite all my friends over. It's sort of like unofficially also a housewarming party. But I just really find it a good time to celebrate. And I think, we all need to honor ourselves at certain times during the year. And why not our birthdays? And so this is officially my birthday episode, even though my birthday is not till May 21st. And this episode comes live May 15th, because I figure you got to celebrate before your birthday rather than after your birthday. And next year, I don't know if it's a leap year next year, but next year, probably the podcast episode will land actually on my birthday, which is even going to be more fun. But the cool part about this is that guess who's sponsoring today's episode? Me. It is Tracy's birthday episode, and our sponsor is my birthday gift surprise. And so I'm giving you plenty of time to make sure that you grab it. I have an amazing birthday gift lined up for you this year. But we all love surprises, so I'm not going to spill the beans on what it is. But every single year, I deliver some amazing value completely for free. And then we also share some other ways that you can get in on stuff that we have over here at Flourish and Thrive, special things that we create just for my birthday, just for you. So if you want to learn more about that and grab my free birthday gift this year, head on over to flourishthriveacademy.com/Tracy's birthday gift. No apostrophe in that. flourishthriveacademy.com/Tracy's. Actually, I said Tracy's birthday gift. Well, we'll just keep it as that. My original URL was Tracy's birthday rocks. Actually, we're going to use both. So you can head on over to flourishthriveacademy.com/Tracy's birthday rocks and sign up to get the free gift and download it right there. It's going to be a blast. I also want to give you a heads up that if you aren't typing in the URL right, no worries at all. You can just head on over to episode 149, flourishthriveacademy.com/episode 149, and download it straight from the podcast episode. So it won't be released until May 21st, and you'll have a couple of days to grab it. So you want to definitely get on the waiting list because it's going to be fun when you do. I'm excited about this. It's going to be a blast. Our second sponsor is the Flourish and Thrive live event. We have an amazing event lined up for you this year. Every year in September, Robin and I host an incredible opportunity for jewelry designers to get together. We get about 80 to 100 people in a room to talk about business ideas, to teach you how to sell better online, to get some of the best PR influencers in the room. And this year is not to be dismissed because we got some awesome speakers. I can't reveal the beans on everyone who's speaking just yet, but if last year was an indicator, and I have to say the speakers this year are even better than last year, which is hard to, actually, I don't want to say that they're better, but they're just as good, but it's going to be a really amazing event, I think is what I'm trying to say. We have speakers like Sabina Hitchin, Robin Kramer, of course. We have Instagram experts there, finance experts, PR influencers, merchants who work for big names. I can't spill the beans yet because we're still signing some contracts here. Hint, like Anthropology and a lot of more. Like, guys, you want to be in this room, trust me. And tickets are already 3/4 of the way sold out. So if this is something that you're interested in, I would definitely check out all the details over at flourishthriveacademy.com/FTA Live 2018. It's going to be awesome. And as I mentioned, at the end of April, 3/4 of the tickets were already sold out. It's a really intimate venue. There's not a lot of space. So we definitely want you to join us. And it's a great opportunity for you to connect. It's also going to be here in New York City, September 26th and 27th. And, if you've never been to New York or if you have been to New York, you know what an awesome city, what a mecca for the jewelry industry it is. So it's just a great place. This is one of those places where all these influencers actually live. And so it's really easy for us to connect with them. It's super awesome. I also have some really amazing episodes coming up that I wanted to share with you over the next couple of weeks. Next week, I'm going to be talking about subscription boxes with one of our SOS coaching designers, Michael Adams. And he's been building an amazing online business, actually selling monthly subscriptions to the jewelry that he designs. There's a message and a meeting, and he is building, I think when we recorded this, he had 80 or 100 subscribers. I can't remember off the top of my head, but he's doing great. So imagine if you had, 80 to 100 sales, like recurring every single month, or even 50 sales or 25 sales. That's just like a great baseline to get consistent revenue in your business. So he has really great ideas on how to start, launch, and succeed at the subscription box business, especially if you're an independent jewelry brand. So make sure that you check that out. Episode number 150 next week with Michael Adams. It'll be the day after my birthday. My birthday surprise will be released, and we're going to have a lot of fun. Then the following week, I have my bestie, Robin Kramer, on the show, and we're going to be talking. Robin and I have very close birthdays. Her birthday is June 1st, and mine's May 21st. So the following week is going to be sort of Robin's birthday episode. And we're going to be talking about this question: is brick and mortar really dead? And this is just in time for her birthday, as I mentioned. We're going to be really chatting about how to navigate the crazy changes going on with wholesale right now. It is a great episode. We've already recorded it. You're definitely going to want to tune into this. But today is about a little bit of a different topic, which I'm excited to talk about too, because, this kind of came up a couple of weeks ago. We're wrapping up our final round of Laying the Foundation live. We've decided to run the program in a different way moving forward. And we're testing it out to see how it goes. But, there was a couple of designers in that round of Laying the Foundation who had posed questions like, how do you know when it's time to actually keep moving forward with your business, or determine when it's time to actually throw in the towel and quit? Because I know that a lot of us have been there different points in our career. And I can tell you, I threw in the towel with my first business. So I know what it's like. And I went through this process where it was like agonizing trying to make that decision. I had a really successful business for many years. It's going through a lot of growing pains and a lot of struggles. I really didn't like my business anymore. I was deciding whether or not it was really the right thing for me. And I chose to actually close that business down and move on and do something else. And it was the best decision I ever made. But, other designers, they're thinking about quitting for a different reason. Like they haven't quite figured out their jam or jive yet. I don't know how to actually say that, but they haven't gotten into their groove of where they can figure out what is actually working for them. And so instead of leaning in and trying to get the support that they need to continue moving their business forward, because they are still passionate about what they're doing, they love what they're doing, and they don't want to quit, they run away because they're scared. And so today's episode, I'm going to help you evaluate when it's time to actually lean in or quit. And this is going to be, and this is like sort of part of like this visionary series that I've been doing, and I'm going to continue doing. Every once in a while, you're going to see episodes pop up called the Visionary Series. And it's about me talking about, I don't want to say existential ideas, but maybe visionary ideas of not only how to lead, with grace, but how to grow your business, how to make these tough decisions that sometimes only you as the creative leader of your business can really make. And sometimes these aren't super solid, tangible items, but they're really important to grow. And one of the things that I've become more passionate about is really leadership and how to build and grow a team that supports what you stand for as a leader, what you stand for as a visionary. And, there's all different schools of thought. Some people think that you can do it on your own and just rake in all the cash. Other people think that you can, or even should, hire a bunch of people, but that can be costly at a certain point, and that reduces your profitability at a certain point, depending on where you are. And so where's that fine balance? And I'm really interested in continuing to dive deep into this conversation, but more particularly with people who are like us, who are super highly creative, who don't have some of the skills that certain types of leaders have. And it doesn't mean that we're good or bad leaders. It just means that we have to adapt differently. And this is going to be something that you're going to hear me talk about a lot more. So get excited if this is something you're interested in. And if you're not interested into it, I hope to persuade you into being more interested in it because it's good. In fact, I have 2 episodes coming up about hiring and leadership with Hillary Halstead Scott at the end of May and early June that you're definitely going to want to tune into. They're great episodes. I love Hillary. She's an amazing person, an amazing supporter of jewelry designers and makers. So as I mentioned, this topic kind of came up during our Laying the Foundation community and also in our Diamond Insiders community. And I wanted to shed some light on this because a lot of you are wondering if your idea to start a jewelry business or keep doing your jewelry business, and I'm saying doing for lack of a better word, is really a good idea. So today I'm going to walk you through the thought process that I went inside to help you decide if this is a right move for you, if you should go forward or not. And I also think the best way to evaluate or not is to ask yourself some kind of tough questions. You have to be honest with yourself. So we're going to kind of walk through those questions. This is sort of like my evaluating tool. And you may have heard me talk about a man named Phil. No, Phil is not someone I'm dating or someone in my family, but he was my first consultant. And Phil is someone that I probably should have hired about 5 years before I did. And he sat me down when I was emaciated because I could barely eat, or everything that I ate just ran through me because I was so stressed all the time. My hair was falling out. I developed a thyroid problem during this period of time. Everything, it was just a really stressful period of my life. I would go to these meetings with Phil. My sister would be there because she was my operations manager at the time. She really didn't like me a lot back then because we were having a really tough time and it was affecting our personal relationship. Our business relationship was affecting our personal relationship. And it almost took a year after I closed my business to actually mend that relationship with her. We are besties now, but it was a really tough period of time because she had to walk through the coals too of a lot of hardship, when my business was not doing well. And so we'd sit in these meetings and Phil would ask me questions. And he would ask me things like, what do you love to do? And I'm like, why are you asking me that question in this business meeting? Like, tell me how we can fix this business. And, part of it was he was convinced that I was over it. And I wasn't able to see it yet because my ego was so tied into the connection with me being a jewelry designer and having a jewelry business model that was out there in the world in a certain way. And at that time, I was selling all to retail stores. That was the only way to build a jewelry brand at the time. Building a business online had sort of just started around then, but it still wasn't really as big of a deal. I had an e-commerce store, but I can't say that we were selling a ton in our e-commerce shop at that point in my career because, it was still a newer thing for people. People, I would get some of the same customers buying, but, I didn't really have a strategy. I wasn't emailing people enough and doing all the things that we know we have to do to build, our online store. God, I wish I knew everything that I knew now back then. My life would be so different. And I would have probably a robust e-commerce business before people even did e-com. So some of these questions I'm going to walk you through today are some of the exact same questions that Phil was asking me when I was making that decision to close my business or lean in, because it was a very hard decision for me. And I don't think any of you should take this lightly. Like if you're passionate about your jewelry brand, you're passionate about building a business, and this is important to you, then you need to really think this through thoroughly and decide, evaluate, like, what's the cost of doing X or Y? What does that mean to you? So let's start with the first question. The first question, I already spilled the beans, is the question you should ask yourself is, do you still love what you're doing? This is really important. When Phil asked me, what do you love to do? I would sit there stunned. I didn't even know how to answer the question because I had been basically felt like I was being dragged through the coals every single day, from dealing with zero money in my bank account to having an influx of cash running in. I remember times when my sister we'd be getting a check or we'd be shipped a PO. My sister would be running to our factor 30 blocks away or 100 or 50 blocks away to just get a check so we could put it in the bank account so that our payroll wouldn't bounce. I mean, true story, this happened on a regular basis because our cash flow was so tight. We'd spent so many years not paying enough attention to it that when things got tough, we didn't have a cash reserve, and it put us in a really bad situation. And so I got to this point where I hated it because all I was doing was focusing on bank accounts and people not paying me and all this stuff because I didn't set myself up for success. And me telling you this story is not to get you depressed or freaked out about that stuff. It's more just to share a lesson. Is what you're doing on a daily basis what you love to do? And if not, how can you get back there? And clearly identify what it is that you love. I mean, clearly what we love to do, a lot has to do with design. Let's just call a spade a spade. We are designers. We are makers. We love working with our hands. We love making jewelry, but there's more things that you love to do in your business. And it's not just designing. I was talking with one of my friends and former, we also worked with her over at Flourish and Thrive. I've worked with her in many capacities, and she's now a coach for our SOS program for Facebook ads. Her name's Kathy Lowenstern. She had a brand called Kathy Low. Many years ago, she decided to close down her business because she realized what she really loved to do was not as much design, but she loved finances and marketing. And so now she's a consultant for people doing marketing and Facebook ads and stuff like that. And she really loves it. And she's one of our coaches in our SOS program. But I remember talking to her and I thought it was so odd because most jewelry designers and makers, people with jewelry brands, don't love finances, but she loved it. And so I just think you might be surprised if you sit down and write down what you really love. So when Phil asked me this question, what I came back with, it was I loved working with customers. I actually loved sales. That was one of my number one things. I loved figuring out what would be perfect for them. I love that opportunity to have a personal connection and a conversation with my customers, which is not something that, you always hear from someone in our space because a lot of people are afraid to afraid to sell or sell. But either way, this was something that I actually really liked doing. And it was funny because I never really thought about it that way, but I did love the selling. I mean, certain parts of the sales were would wear on me, but I loved meeting with the customers. When I got used to it and got comfortable and wasn't so afraid of rejection, this became one of my favorite parts of the business. And that was a huge aha moment for me. And I realized that what I was missing from my business as it was there wasn't enough time to be creative, and I wasn't making space to be creative, and I wasn't really connecting with the customers anymore because I had a full-time salesperson who handled most of the sales. And not that I wasn't at a place where I would have been able to handle all the sales of my company at that time. We were just too big. But it was a huge revelation. Okay, so, if I love designing, I love connecting with customers, I love bringing what they want to life in my style, basically doing commissions, what am I doing now? Because this is so different. And so I want to ask you, what is it that you really love beyond just the making of the jewelry? Because there's a lot more things that you love in your business. I actually realized that I love marketing, and I was never doing that. And that's one of the things that is so fun for me. And being the idea generator and coming up with ideas to build my business. I hardly ever spent time doing that at my old business. I mean, obviously, I was doing what everyone else was doing because that's what you were supposed to do. But I wasn't sitting in that space of that I know I'm creatively genius at, which is, coming up with new ways to market and sell my products. So that was like a huge missing link. So that's like question number one. And if you're not doing those things that you love, how can you get back to that to really inspire and like infuse some energy into your business? The second question that I want you to ask yourself is, do you still have a passion for what you do? Because it's true, sometimes what we've done forever, we just think we have to continue to do, and we lose our passion for it. There's nothing wrong with that. We just need to find a way to get back to our passion or rejigger things so that we're passionate about it. Because if you're not happy with what you're doing and you're also not passionate about it, probably not a good business to continue doing. But if you are passionate about it, you love what you're doing, and you're just not getting the results that you want, then it just really takes you focusing on the right activities that are going to move your business forward. And for some of you who are just starting out, it could be things like just creating a schedule and consistent cycle for focusing on the sales and marketing aspects of your business that you tend to avoid or put to the back burner and don't do it. For others who have had a business for a while, it might just be like reconnecting with the things that you're really good at and passionate about and rejiggering that passion and infusing some energy. So if you ask yourself, do I still have a passion for it? This is like a really good filter to understand if you're still in the right place. The next thing that you should ask for yourself is the time investment worth it to me? Because we know as entrepreneurs, as small business owners, that we probably work a lot more hours than a lot of people out there. We might be sometimes working nights and weekends, especially if we have full-time jobs or other things that we're doing. We might work long days. I've heard many designers who are really successful, who are friends of mine, say that they wait till their entire team leaves and then they work until 8, 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock at night because that's the only time that they have to be creative. So it has to be worth it. Like, is that time that you're putting into your business really worth it to you? Or is there something else you'd rather be doing with your time? So this is like a little bit of a story. And this is how I know that I love what I do. But I also know that when my energy gets off, that I have to get excited about what I'm doing and change. Like, it's really important for me to stay creatively inspired. And if I ever feel like I'm in a rut, something has got to change, or else my businesses will just nosedive. I know that very well. I'm actively aware of it. My team knows that from me. And so they are really protective of my energy. They also give me the freedom to have creative days where I can really focus on that and keep things going. But what I wanted to say about this is that, I was talking to this guy. So I'm dating, and you're going to hear a lot more dating stories from me. I was talking to this guy maybe a couple weeks ago, and he was texting with me. I was on a video shoot, and I was doing the video shoot on a weekend because there's a lot of construction in my building, and it's quieter on the weekends. And long story short, it just worked out that the shoot fell on a weekend. I did another shoot the following week during the week, but he was teasing me because he didn't know me very well. He doesn't really know what it's like to be an entrepreneur in my space. He's self-employed, but I really think of that as something very different than someone who's like a true entrepreneur who's really actively growing their business. He's just taking people's money and investing it. And it's a little bit of a different kind of business model, and not his day ends when the market's closed for the most part. So he was like teasing me and calling me a workaholic. And I'm like, you really have no idea that I actually love what I do, and this doesn't feel like work to me. And so when you can say that most of your time spent working doesn't really feel like work, that's something to take a look at because you love it. And while I love having my weekends free, I don't try to make it a habit to work all weekend, every single weekend. I do sometimes use the weekends as time to catch up on certain things because that's when I have space. In fact, I would rather take the whole day on Friday off and work on a Saturday for a half day than work on Fridays. I don't know. For some reason, that just works for me. And so I purposely book a lot of my appointments on Friday afternoons, like my beauty appointments, things that I have to, get done, errands. I do them on Fridays because for me, that's sort of like a summer Friday day, whatever. But there are days when I work till 11 o'clock at night because I know that if I do that, it's going to get me ahead for X, Y, and Z reason. So think about that. Are you excited doing the work that you do? Is the time trade worth it? Is your investment in time really feeding and firing your soul? Because that's an important thing to evaluate. The fourth question is, are you willing to innovate and change? So years and years ago, I just did a commitment check-in and an SOS call this morning before I'm recording this a couple weeks before this episode goes live. And I referenced this guy that I worked with one-on-one probably 4 or 5 years ago. I don't really take a lot of one-on-one clients anymore. I will take on special cases only for, high ticket consulting, where I work with people and they're spending, investing about, $15,000 or more a year, depending on the the package that we create together. And, that I don't really offer that anymore, but occasionally I will. And I do, occasionally will do, if it's the right fit, VIP days and stuff like that with designers and people who want help in the space. But this was back in the time when I was still taking on one-on-one coaching clients, and I was working with this guy, and he was kind of a hippie dude selling yoga jewelry, and he had a really, really successful business for many years. He would travel to Thailand, to Asia, like all over, collect all this great, cool jewelry, have stuff designed in Bali, bring it back to his local accounts, sell out of it, and then go back and then do the same thing. And it was like a wash, rinse, repeat. Well, the market started changing and his wholesale boutique started closing and business became harder and rent started to increase. And he's like, what's going on? Like, wholesale's different. I don't know how I'm going to continue to make my business. Like, I want to hire you to try and figure out how I can get my business working again. And so I said, okay, well, what are you willing to do? How are you willing to even innovate? Like, are you willing to change? And he was not willing to change. And it's sort of like this definition of insanity. Are you willing to innovate and change? Because business is always going to continue to change. And if you are not adaptable, you're not willing to make changes to adapt to the current market situations, to learn new marketing strategies, to learn new sales strategies, to build strong relationships with your customer base, and continue those things going on to be of service, then this probably isn't the right industry for you. And it might not be the right place for you to actually lean in. It might be actually time to quit. But if you are willing to adapt and innovate, and it's not something that's scary, all these things, going from like A to Z might seem scary, but like over time, small changes happen. It's just like being able to adapt and stick with it. That's one of the most important business lessons you will ever learn. Like, your ability to innovate and adapt is going to be your number one key to success. If you try to stay stuck and be the same all the time, nothing will ever change for you and you're going to get left behind. And I swear to God that I think that's part of the reason about why my business has started to tank back in 2008. I mean, obviously the economic environment sucked and I got wrapped up in the whole like financial crisis of 2008. So I do give myself some credibility, but I was very stuck in my old ways. And instead of taking a really clear look at what was going on, I just kept dumping more money into things that weren't working, thinking that was going to work for me instead of being really strategic. And that was like literally the downfall. I invested like almost $100,000 in trade shows one year. And that was the same year that that next year was this like years when a bunch of stores were started going out. So long story short, I'm not going to go into that. It's like really important to be able to adapt, innovate, and change. Otherwise, this might not be the right industry for you because we're always going to be facing hurdles and things that we have to overcome. And you have to think outside of the box to not recreate that pattern. And my fifth piece of advice or question to ask you is, how are you getting support? Because this is the number one most important thing that you can do to decide whether or not you lean in or quit your business if you're in that place or you're struggling. Because the support system that you have around you is the number one thing that will help you have an objective view about what's really going on. Everything that we experience as humans beings is subjective. It goes through our own filter. We can't see things clearly. We get stuck in our little zone and we aren't able to approach a situation objectively. So something to us might feel like the end of the world, but to someone else, they might be looking at it like, oh, here's the fix to that problem. X, Y, and Z, boom, boom, boom. Here's your help. Let's do this. And you might not have been able to see that. And so support is really important. You can get support in a lot of ways. I mean, obviously over here at Flourish and Thrive, we have amazing support. We have our Diamond Insiders community. We have a great coaching program called the SOS Coaching Program, where you get access to our Diamond Insiders, but also one-on-one coaching with our amazing coaches. It's all focused on really building your business and your brand online and attracting customers through your website, regardless of your business model. But those two communities are an amazing opportunity for you to connect with like-minded designers and jewelry makers of all types and get that support that you need. So when you're stuck and might not be seeing things clearly, we can help you get out of your funk and on to the next phase of success, which is super exciting. So that's what I have to say for you about this. So I'm going to repeat these questions. And if you're interested in learning more about our SOS program or the Diamond Insiders, I'm definitely going to have links over at the show notes. They're amazing communities. You can get on our waiting list for those programs if that's something you're interested in being a part of, because we are just rocking it out in those communities, and we have great designers. In fact, right before I got on this episode, I was giving a high five to one of our designers in SOS who totally rocked out her sales at an event that she did in New Orleans. She booked like $40,000 in sales over a weekend and has a bunch of leads to follow up with after. And I mean, it's just like, I'm blown away because this girl was like working so hard, and I'm just so thrilled that she's like achieved this amazing, amazing success. It's just awesome. And so, I really want to hold the space for you to reach and create the business of your dreams. And so we're going to do that by helping you decide whether or not to quit or to lean in with your business. And the questions you want to ask yourself: do I still love what I'm doing? Do I still have a passion for it? What's the time trade worth it to me? And am I willing to innovate and change my business as the market changes? And finally, number 5, how am I getting support? Like, those are the 5 questions that you need to ask yourself. And I'd like to invite you to get some support with us in 2 ways. This episode is sponsored by 2 people today. One is by me, and one is by Flourish and Thrive Live, which is happening in September. So I want you to grab my birthday gifts. You can head on over to the show notes over at episode 149. And there is a link there where you can opt in and get the birthday gifts as soon as they are released on May 21st. And that is Monday, which is an awesome day. Mondays are a great day to have a birthday. And you can also head on over to FTA Live 2018 to check out our live event. It is September 26th and 27th here in New York City. It's an epic 2-day event where you're going to meet and connect with a bunch of influencers. You're going to meet me. You're going to meet our amazing sponsors who are there supporting this, and also our amazing speakers who are there. We're going to have great breakout sessions with some amazing people who are going to help you like brainstorm business ideas, to do roundtables with them, to pick their brains. Great networking events, cocktail hours. You can even buy the VIP option and upgrade to have a lunch with all the speakers and really get connected and make those connections. In fact, last year, a couple of our designers in this community, Canela Limon of Cinnamon Sticks Jewelry, made an amazing connection. In fact, she messaged me today and said that she is so busy that she promises to get back on track with SOS after Mother's Day is over, because she landed a great opportunity to start working with Uncommon Goods. Several of the designers there networked, I should say, with some of our influencers that were there. Don Del Russo, Pamela Peckerman. I know Jennifer Serrallo is doing a ton of stuff with Pamela Peckerman. And many of the other designers who were there are just getting great press and PR. And you get to meet me and Sabina and Robin and so many of our amazing SOS coaches all together. So please join us. Tickets are, going really fast. We were already 3/4 sold out a couple weeks ago. So make sure that you get these before the tickets go out of stock, or sell out, I guess is the best way to put it. All right, I got to sign off. This is Tracy Matthews signing off until next time. Thanks so much for listening to the show. Make sure that you subscribe to our podcast. And if you love what you're listening to, make sure that you give us a rating. Hopefully it's a 5-star one. We'd love to hear a little bit more about what you love. So give us a rating and a review, and make sure that you subscribe so you automatically download these episodes. All right, thanks for listening, and I'll chat with you soon. See you next week.